This video is the third lecture in church mode following the previous video. In the last lecture video, we looked at the overall concept of the upward line method, the first structure of church mode, and today, let's look at the overall concept of the downward line method, the second structure of the church mode. Inverse line method refers to the line method in which the diatonic arrangement method in the score is the descending direction of the existing scale, that is, C major. This is to apply the 3-4-7-8 semitone structure of do, la, mi, fa, sol, la, si and do to the descending scale. What do you mean? It is to fit the descending scale, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, la, do, to the scale structure of the ascending scale, do, la, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Since do si is minor 2 degree, if si is lowered by a semitone, it becomes major 2 degree like do la. Also, since C flat La is minor 2 degree, if La is lowered by minor 2 degree, C flat La flat becomes major 2 degree like La Mi. In this way, if the remaining Mi and La are lowered by minor 2 degrees, Do Si La Sol Pa Mi La Do becomes Do Si flat La flat Sol Pa Mi flat La flat Do. This becomes the C key downward line method scale, and if it is chorded, it is C B flat A flat G F E flat D flat C. This is called the C key downward line method diatonic. Ionian is responsible for the bass chord, and the dependent mode is basically responsible for the scale. But it can also be matched with a chord, in this case it is called a dependent chord. In this way, the inverse diatonic for the other 11 keys other than the C key is formed. Try the diatonic for the remaining 11 tonals yourself. C, B flat, A flat, G, F, E flat, D flat. First chord in CC is an Ionic chord, B flat is Dorian, A flat is Phrygian, G is Lydian, F is Mixolydian, E flat is Aeolian, D flat is Locrian. All are subordinate modes and are used as subordinate chords and scales. Downward line method consists of 4 types of combined mode and 2 types of multimode. 4 types of combination modes are default combination, chord transition combination, scale transition combination, and bass transition combination. And 2 types of multimode are multimode of one scale and multimode of one area. Let's look at the matching principle of the downward line method. Downward line method has 2 elements, bass chord and subordinate mode. Bass chord is responsible for backing, and subordinate mode is responsible for subordinate chord and scale. In some cases, the bass chord may be referred to as a bass mode, and the dependent mode may be referred to as a dependent chord. The horizontal concept from C to B on the top left of the diagram is the bass chord, and the vertical concept from Ionian to Locrian on the far left is the dependent mode. Only when the bass chord and the subordinate mode are combined, the value of the mode music is revealed. For example, if the bass chord C and the dependent mode Ionian are combined, it is called C Ionian, which is a combination of C chord or C scale played around the C note. Also, when the bass chord D and the dependent mode Dorian are combined, it is called D Dorian. This is a combination of the D chord and the D note centered C scale. Let's look at one more last example. When the bass chord F and the dependent mode Phrygian are combined, it is called F Phrygian. This is a combination of the F chord and the D flat scale centered on the F note. Code. That is, the meaning of the D/C means the C scale with the D note as the center note or the C scale in the backing of the D chord. Let's take a look at some of the important concepts in the downward line method. First, Ionian is the only one of the 7 modes that is in charge of the bass chord. Even though it is a mode, It has the peculiarity of being an independent mode as a cooperative mode that conflicts with the dissonance, which is the concept of the mode. Also, unlike other modes, it can act as a backing and scale by itself. Second, the bass chord can only be Ionian, and there is no mode without Ionian in the whole principle of mode scale music. Ionian has the function of harmonious music by itself and is called bass chord or bass mode because it is combined with other modes to form dissonant music. Third, the subordinate mode has no value of existence without the Ionian, and is a non-independent mode that expresses the character of the modal music only through the combination with the Ionian. 6 subordinate modes except Ionian represent dissonant music in which the backing equals Ionian, and the tonality of the melody equals subordinate mode, do not match through combination with Ionian. Fourth, for the slash chord, a slash symbol is inserted between the two chords. This seems to be a general fractional chord, but the meaning is different here as a modal fractional chord. The numerator indicates the chord or root note, and the denominator indicates the scale or chord centered on the root note. Let's look at that example. C/B flat refers to a B flat scale centered on the C note on the C chord backing, or a B flat chord with the C note as the root note. The C/A flat represents an A flat scale centered on the C note in the C chord backing, or an A flat chord with the C note as the root note. Now, let's take a look at the two expression methods of the downward line method, the combined mode and the multimode method. In combination mode, the object of combination is chord, bass, and scale 3 parts. Only Ionians can scale themselves with chord backing. In other words, 6 other modes besides the Ionian always require a combination with the Ionian. First, in the basic combination, the backing and the bass play the bass chord, and the scale plays the subordinate mode. Second, in the chord switching combination, the backing and the bass switch between the bass chord and the subordinate mode, and the scale plays the subordinate mode. Third, in the scale conversion combination, the backing and bass play the bass chord, and the scale plays by switching the subordinate mode and the bass chord. Fourth, in the bass switching combination, the backing plays the bass chord, the bass switches the bass mode and the subordinate mode, and the scale plays the subordinate mode. Here, let's look at 4 more forms that apply the basic combination. Application 1 is a combination of backing versus bass plus scale, with the backing playing the bass chord, and the bass and scale playing the dependent mode. Application 2 is a combination of bass versus backing plus scale, where the bass plays the bass chord, and the backing and scale plays the dependent mode. Application 3 is scale versus backing versus bass combination 1. Scale plays the dependent mode, backing switches the bass chord and slave mode, and the bass plays the bass mode. Application 4 is scale versus backing versus bass combination 2. Scale switches the bass mode and submode, backing plays the bass chord, and bass plays the subordinate mode. Let's look at multimode. Multimode for one scale means that a certain scale changes the mode of that scale according to the chord backing. In other words, this means that several chords, especially the main 3 chord, can be dealt with in one scale. In the diagram, each C, dark color, under C, F, and G shows that the subordinate mode to C changes according to the bass chord. If the bass chord is C, it is C Ionian, if it is F, C becomes F Lydian, and if it is G chord, C is changed to G Mixolydian. Let's look at the C mode example of multimode for one scale. In the diagram, the left side shows the change of main 3 backing, and the right side shows how the I scale for each mode changes with respect to the IV and V chord backing. C Ionian, i.e. C scale for C chord backing becomes F Lydian in F chord backing, and changes to G Mixolydian in G chord backing. C Dorian, i.e., B-flat scale for C chord backing, becomes F Mixolydian in F chord backing, and changes to G Aeolian in G chord backing. C Phrygian, that is, the A-flat scale for C chord backing, becomes F Aeolian in F chord backing, and changes to G Locrian in G chord backing. C Lydian, that is, G scale for C chord backing is irrelevant in F chord backing, and changes to G Ionian in G chord backing. C Mixolydian, that is, the F scale for C chord backing becomes F Ionian in F chord backing, and changes to G Dorian in G chord backing. C Aeolian, that is, the E-flat scale for C chord backing becomes F Dorian in F chord backing, and changes to G Phrygian in G chord backing. C Locrian, that is, the D-flat scale for C chord backing becomes F Phrygian in F chord backing, and not applicable in G chord backing. In C Lydian 4 and C Locrian 5, the meaning of the X symbol is the expression that there is no scale mode for the backing in the downward line method diatonic. Multimode for one note refers to 7 modes for one note, or 7 modes, i.e., 7 scales, appearing in one note range. Let's look at the mode change of the 7 scales for the C change. In C Ionian, C is Do, which is C/C. In C Dorian, C is Lay, which is C/B flat. In C Phrygian, C is Mi, which is C/A flat. In C Lydian, C is Pa, which is C/G. In C Mixolydian, C is Sol, which is C/F. In C Aeolian, C is La, which is C/E flat. C Locrian is C, which is C/D flat. So far, Chapter 2, Church Mode, that is, the structure of the mode scale downward line method has been examined. In the next lecture, we will look at Chapter 3, Mid-range scale. So far, Chapter 2, Church Mode, that is, the structure of the mode scale downward line method has been examined. In the next lecture, we will look at Chapter 3, Mid-range scale.